All right. Hey there. I'm gonna be doing a bit of a kind of a warm-up art stream before I get back into giant robots. I'm gonna be drawing some of my fine print stuff. Just gonna real quick lighten the load on my Photoshop a little bit because I tend to go overboard and open like 50 files at the same time, and not the best thing for a program stability really. Okay, I can have this one open because I'm gonna be working on that one a bit later. This one can go down. All right. Let's go. Yep, it's technically before noon here, 10 or so minutes. All right. Let me just get my Buffett reference because I want to do like a cool portrait of her. Recently, I found myself a cure for my problem of letting inspiration kind of get carried away with me, and like letting myself get carried away with inspiration and constantly making new concepts and new projects and new ideas. Because last time I did it, I was doing random drawings of mechas because I was like, well, I got nothing to contribute to that. I have no story for that, so I am safe. That was a big fucking mistake. So now I'm just gonna be doing warm-ups of things that I'm already working on. So that way, I found myself a fucking loophole. Let's see, what do I want with her? Like, I don't have any idea of what I want to do with her portrait right now. So I'm just basically gonna let things happen on the canvas because I am not a man of plans when it comes to this stuff. Hmm. So I'm just gonna do. I've noticed that when I do a kind of a no pressure brush, I tend to commit better to a thing. So I'm just gonna, I'm just gonna do that. Now, the interesting thing about these warm-ups is you see me working on them. And by the way, sorry about my Tourette's for anybody who's new in the streams. I have a bit of a condition that just unfortunately I can't deal with. And it only gets worse when I'm inspired. So, but anyways, back to the topic here. The point with these um, warm-ups is I do these kind of unplanned artworks that basically are meant to be drawn kind of from the heart, effectively, where I get to draw them in a very kind of a feeling-driven shot that kind of captures their personality, their essence. And the reason I do it the way I do is to uh, these warm-ups are technically also practices of my moment-to-moment decision making. One of the big keys to, you know, becoming fast in your line of work, if it's storytelling or illustration, is developing an ability to make quick decisions without constantly overthinking them. Overthinking is something is a phase that we all kind of go through when we're doing our early practices and trainings, because you're unsure of everything. You're trying to figure out anatomy. You're trying to figure out a lot of stuff at the same time. So every move you make, you kind of tend to second and third guess it. So in so in this phase of work, I just generally, my whole idea is to just kind of you know lay things out, capture the essence, capture the mood of the character, because I haven't even fully decided how zoomed in am I gonna be into this picture. Like, so I'm probably gonna kind of zoom out a little bit, give her a bit of more of a figure to work with. So it's gonna be, a lot of like cool stuff, details and stuff like that. Man, my Tourette's is really kicking my ass today. I don't know what it is. Well, I know what it is. Like recently, I've been working like super inspired and like crazy on both the Achilles Shield Maidens and the fine print, and it's kind of fucking surreal how much like just sheer inspiration I have for both of these comics. I mean, I have it for all of my comics, but it's like these two recently have been just exploding. Yeah, my blobbing technique is it's kind of nuts, isn't it? Like it's weird, but you kind of you should kind of look at it in a way as a sculptor roughs out a sculpture. But when they do that, they kind of throw lumps of clay, building up just these weird basic shapes, these weird amorphous blobs. But then they start working those blobs, they start refining them, and you know, pretty soon, like shapes start taking form, and once they do, you start kind of visualizing what the author has in mind, what the creator is making. Because right now you can already kind of start seeing, features, appearing just in these very very rough setups of nothing but just colors and just rough forms. Damn, it's really fucking kicking in today. Now, mind you, this isn't something I would ever recommend anybody to, you know, do their drawings like this. However, I would wholeheartedly recommend it for people to try, kind of incorporate this sometimes into their practice, where it's like, the core of it, the point of this practice is to just kind of, try and make a thing where you don't overthink it. So you start without the idea. Basically, your whole idea is like, I'm gonna draw this person, this thing, and you just draw it. Just paint it immediately, just kind of, because one of the things that I've noticed for myself, and I'm pretty sure there's more people like that, is the fact that I tend to overthink things if I start from line work. Like I start, doodling, scribbling, and everything gets, over rendered, overdone. So instead of that, uh, with this approach, I kind of um, I tend to kind of set my mind free when I'm working, What is Resorius? I'm sorry, like my English is quite well, but it's just there's still some words that kind of elude me. And there's also thing I'm self-taught, so a lot of like professional language never really, you know, I never really caught up with that because, well, when you're self-taught, your language becomes, kind of, hey, this I I do the brushy brush and then I do the thingy thing. Yeah, it's a fluid approach, but it's still, it's an approach that was predominantly developed for me to, get some workout out of it, get some practice out of it, and kind of, work from sort of a gut instinct that, well, it's also a skill that you get to then increase. You get to level up. Oh, wow! Yeah, I don't even know. What emotions do you usually want to emphasize resources? Yeah, I'd have to know which muscle that is. Weirdly enough, like I know how to draw them, I don't know how to name them. Funny thing is, recently I bought a really fucking good book, and this is something I would actually advise anybody who is, trying to improve the quality of their expression work. It's called Anatomy of a Facial Expression. And like that book fucking blew my mind because like when you're drawing a facial expression from a reference or from, your memory, like you're kind of dealing with, the surface level visual information. But what this book does is basically it takes any facial expression that you know how to draw and explains to you what happens under the skin, and then you start understanding why a thing happens, and that helps like ridiculously much. Like like I'm not usually the one to kind of promote other people's books unless it's like comics, and I like a comic. But this thing, I bought it on a whim once I saw somebody share some pages of it on Facebook, and yeah, I haven't regretted that. But the thing with facial expressions in general is uh, an expression is a movement, and it's your choice as a creator to figure out what split second of a movement do you want to freeze in time, and based on that decision, you're kind of making a lot of narrative decisions. It's like what kind of a smile, what kind of a frown, what kind of a concern are you trying to depict in a face, what kind of a moment in all of that you're trying to depict, because that moment speaks the strongest for that scene. So it's kind of one of those, there is no real answer to that, because unfortunately with these things, the answer really does rely on your gut instinct, on your feeling of when, like it's like when you're making these things, it comes down to like this feeling of you running a movie in your head, right? And pressing pause at the right moment, you know? You're trying to capture that special split second where it's like this right here, this is the one I'm looking for. This is the one that captures it the most. This is the one that makes that makes the character, what they're saying on a canvas or what they're saying on that panel, like this is the one that depicts it the best. But yeah, another thing that with my method is like it originates from me being, spending a lot of time back in high school and college sculpting. So my methods are very sculptural. Like even my approach into in refining the forms is like I will often use liquefied, because it feels fun to use. It feels like back in the day, just kind of mashing together clay and warping it and deciding, how to, which shape I wanted to take. So like I said, I don't when it comes to these things, I don't technically draw. I more sculpt and or paint depending on what I'm doing. Like even with my comics, I will generally just kind of have like just panel divisions and where the text goes and just stick figures and then just go like immediately, and I will make like flat planes of color and just start inking on top of that. Yeah, I stream relatively often, but at weird hours. Like I'm kind of weird with that, like because I don't really have a set sleep schedule. Because the problem with me is I often get too inspired and then fuck up my sleep schedule because I end up drawing and writing for way too long, and then all of a sudden I'm working nights again. And every now and then, I swear to myself, it's like, no, this is the last time. I'm gonna be a normal person. I'm gonna sleep normal hours, and every damn time. So that was a fucking lie. Yep, this shit is addictive. Not even gonna lie. I love this process because it allows me to just kind of experiment and just kind of fuck around with shapes and masses and everything, get into the anatomy of it all before I just kind of start, yeah, shaping things up with my blending brush. And really, my blending brush here is like just fucking half of the fucking job is just, yeah. Well, not like blending brush basically just takes everything and in like 2 minutes just turns these weird shapes and splotches into into an actual, face. But until then, the important things are basically to set up all the important values, important color shades, and everything. Because later, once I get to the blending, blending brush turns everything basically into oil color, so I can just blend it and pull it in any way I want and just. Mm. All right, what? How does Buffett even smile? Does she have like one of those upward kind of grins that pulls into her fangs? I think she might. I think she definitely might be that kind of a character. It's one of those things because like I have not really drawn Buffett properly smiling. Like just that one of those I will devour your soul kinds of grins. Because she with her past, like she's not the one to have a seductive smile straight up. Like she's not she's not Lilia or Thaddeus or somebody like that. Yeah, no, she used to be a fury, a punisher of people. So her smile has to be kind of almost predatory sadistic. And I know like right now like this looks really weird and everything, but trust me, I know what I'm doing. Black and white to color is absolute fucking just ass cancer for me. Like I hate it so much. You can never get that fucking dullness out of it. Like no matter how much overlays and everything you do, it will never look as rich and as full as direct color does to me. Like just never. Like there's always that kind of a emptiness to a black and white two color for me. Like don't get me wrong, like it can look amazing. I still can feel it and see it every time though. Like it's just there was a video once on YouTube that I've seen from somebody who explained why that is, and I'm like, yes, this exactly is what my problem is with it. Like because when you're doing direct colors, you're making color decisions consistently, like through the whole thing, and when you're doing black and white, you kind of tend to over rely on just kind of grouping together like piles of the same color. Like this thing right now, like there's a whole lot of fucking shit happening with the colors here. And if I was to saturate it, it would get even richer. And when you try and saturate the black and white, it still never works properly. Like I don't know why. Like I tried it like once or twice back in the early days of Photoshop because I saw some people doing it and I'm like, oh yeah, well let's try that. I was I was basically self-taught, but whenever I saw somebody doing something, I'm like, hey, let me try it. Let's see, let's see if I can make something out of that. And I'm just like, nope. And like, don't get me wrong, I'm not bashing on people who do that. Like, there's people who can do just absolute masterpieces with that technique. I'm not one of them. No, this isn't a black and white versus color. It's colorizing black and white, black and like let's say let's say I was doing this like this, image adjustments, desaturate, and then I did a layer where I started applying color. It's like with color and then overlay. So let's say I did one of these. I'm doing like color layers, and then I'm like, okay, then I'm gonna do some like this, that kind of stuff. So it never really get like. Do you notice how from this stone it goes into kind of a gray version of this stone? That's my problem with colorizing black and white. Because when I do it, usually it goes like from this kind of color into this actual different hue of color into this actual different hue of color. There's a richness to that that I could never, get from black and white to color. Yeah. Now, it does seem like an extra step of work, but there is an advantage of doing black and white two color, and that is you gain an immense amount of control over values. Your value game is gonna be fucking amazing if you practice through that. But again, problem is end result is always gonna kind of show through. Like there's always like if you know what to see, like it's very hard not to see it. So my usual advice when it comes to that is practice black and white for increasing the quality of your values, but at the same time, uh, honestly, I would recommend going color first from the get-go, just so that you gain mastery of that. Because once you gain mastery of that, everything else is gonna be an additional step. And plus, you can always do something like this, basically: layer, duplicate, layer, and then do this image adjustment, desaturate. Or is adjustment desaturate? And then you use this layer as a luminosity correction. So you can basically you can tweak values on this. Let's say let's say I'm like, okay, um, this thing needs to be a bit more darker because I multiple. This thing needs to be a bit more darker, so because I want shadows to kind of sink in. Let's say like let's say you're doing a nice little shadow layer that's gonna basically cover a lot of the a lot of that work for you. Then let's say you apply this, and then you have this. Yeah. See, and now it's applying that shadow. This is normal. Apply that luminosity layer. You can use it as a correction to your value work, which again is nice. But even then, when you're doing shadows, if you just do it through luminosity, same problem. Shadows usually kind of have a color of their own based on global illumination and bounced light and all of that. So again, you're gonna have to go back into the whole thing and so instead, when I'm doing shadows, I will usually, let's say, there's bluish global illumination. I will just basically do multiply layer with with a color tinted with a color that fits that, and I could just apply the shadows like that, and then just once I get to blending, get the job done. My Joker, I'm basically not gonna reveal the plans for that because like I have no intention of doing more of that anytime soon. But by some miracle, if I ever do, I would rather leave that because that question is actually answered in the finale of the second volume. So we'll see if that happens. If it does, you'll find out. And then my blending brush comes and turns everything into freaking oil color. Because then I can pull and push and merge with absolute fucking sense of control. And to think that I fucking invented this thing like almost fucking 20 years now ago. Yeah, it's been about 19 years ago when I was trying to kind of make a waterfall brush in an old Photoshop for when I was still trying to figure out how to draw a ravine in a pencil and whatever, and then color it digitally. So I was trying to kind of do these kind of effects. So I was like, ooh, what if I applied scattering to a to a splatter brush and then just try and see if I could smudge like that. And then I noticed the strange side effect that it was blending colors perfectly. And then I started fucking around with that, and it's literally been the staple of my work for so long now. Yeah, like I said, luminosity can do that, but again, it's kind of the same problem, but it's less obvious just because you still have a foundation of color to work with from the get-go. So, yeah. Can I explain everything from the start? Okay. At first, the universe was kind of non-existent, and then we don't know how, but there was this big bang. And from that, like, there was this cosmic burst of like all the fucking energy and all the fucking matter, and like we're still not really sure how that whole thing happened and why. But time passed, and the all this matter traveled through space, and like things started crashing into each other, and you know, it's a long story, really. I don't think the stream's gonna last long enough for me to catch up. Well, yeah, maybe he made the Earth, but I'm talking about the actual process. God works in explosions. I mean, wouldn't you? Like, Jesus, like, it's the coolest thing ever. It's like, how are you gonna create the universe? It's like, I'm just gonna will it into being. It's like, no, fuck yeah, hit the button. It's like, oh yes. If I was a god, I would do it like that. I'd be like, I'm gonna explode the universe into existence. Listen, it was the biggest bang. Okay. Yes, God is Michael Bay. Get with the program. Literally works in explosions. Come on. God is Megumin. Exactly. Exactly. Also, Megumin is Lina Inverse remade. I stand by that. First time, like, oh my god, I still remember the first time I saw the character and she started chanting the explosion chant. I'm just like, you motherfuckers, you went and did it, didn't you? Darkness beyond twilight, crimson beyond the light that fades, buried in the stream of time is where my power lies. Oh man, I still remember. I fucking adore that anime. I fucking adore both of those animes, both Konosuba and Slayers. Oh no, no, it's she's gonna be smiling sincerely, but once I'm done, it's not gonna be a good thing either. It's gonna be about as a good thing as Lauren smiling at that one there. It's just like it's yeah, Buffett happy. Like she has a sincere smile. She has a smile of a mother by the end. A happy smile for the first time ever. But that's at the end of the story. Till then, she's literally the fucking antagonist of the story. I wouldn't say villain. That would be more of a Lawrence job. Nah. Lauren is flawed, but Lauren is gonna be so much fun though. Like I I love writing her because she's so like she makes all the wrong decisions, but fundamentally, like as a reader, like you'll understand the whys and the hows. It's kind of like sometimes in life shit happens and it just starts steamrolling. You just don't know how to turn it back. So you just kind of start doing drastic shit and it just makes everything worse. And that's Lauren in a nutshell. And it's like it's just she's gonna be so much fun to write and it's also gonna be so much fun to write the story till the end when the end reveals what you have been reading all along and then people who understand what just happened are gonna fucking lose their mind. This is interesting because right now I'm actually searching for her smile because Buffett will have this kind of a I want her to have the kind of a predatory grin, because she's not a natural succubus. Like she did not start off that way. Like she was a fury, a punisher, a goddess of fucking punishment. And now, she's a succubus and it's just like she never really worked well, you know. Uh, the one with the village of Megumin. Yeah, I saw it. Fucking almost died laughing. Jesus Christ. That moment, every time when you flip that canvas, you're just like, ugh, what have I brought upon this world? And then it's like, back to liquefy. Glad to hear it, Demon Gal. I hope that fine print is going to be causing the same kind of response as one is done. Because, like, I know what the story will bring and I know just how hard it will hit. So I think it just might. But again, what I think and what the audience think can and sometimes very much is two very different things. So who knows? And I wish I could just play copyrighted stuff and YouTube would just kind of automatically claim it for the copyright holders just so that I can stream with decent music in the background. That's, the kind of stuff I would listen to. Like, I don't mind this stuff. Like, it's actually fun when you're gaming, but it's like I'm trying to capture a mood and then here's the song. It's like, I'm just like, no, you stop that. Absolute mood killer is what it is. I'm trying to hear. I'm trying to kind of depict this kind of a grin that kind of has a sinister underpinning to it, and it's just like the music is just like little 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 little, and I'm like fuck off. And now it's sounding like a depressed Big Bang. Good. No, not Big Bang. Big Bang. My mind is still on God creating the universe with explosions. I'm doing great, Jacob. Oh yeah, she's gonna start looking extra, all right. But I still haven't captured the actual kind of a sinisterness from this. Like, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, I want her to be smiling, but also at the same time, just kind of like it's one of those I still loathe and despise you kind of a look. This is the interesting challenge of complex expressions, you know, because it's not even like you can take somebody's reference for that. Like, sure, you could technically pause a movie for where some actor makes just the right expression, but it's like that actually takes so much time to find and capture that expression first as a reference, and then you know you have to do stuff with it. Still, like, so it's much easier for me to just kind of make this shit up. However, it's still it's still that kind of like a weird mental projection of where you're trying to kind of you're trying to feel what the character is feeling. You know, you're trying like there's a thing with animators, right? Like they often make the expressions that they're drawing, and this same shit happens to me constantly. So it's like very often I'm gonna be drawing these things, and it's just gonna be like if there's a camera on me, like there's a reason why I don't stream with a camera on that. And just also I'm camera shy. But it's like so often, like you just draw and just like all of a sudden you're making these stupid expressions. I still remember every now and then Linda would like kind of like she's on her table next to me, and she's drawing her thing, and she turns around to me and she sees me just in this fucking tormented look of just sheer anguish and anger. She's like, "Oh my god, what happened? Who pissed you off?" I'm like, "Honey, I'm drawing." She's like, "Oh." And you look at the characters on the page, it's like the same fucking shit. It's like, yeah. Sindel wasn't my personal design. That was at some point at DC they asked me to do a series, but it was like a weekly series for Mortal Kombat, and I was actually contemplating doing it. So I did some samples of just I got a bunch of them actually, but they were all like samples from they were based on the current NetherRealm designs from that time. So I did Sindel, I did. Sonya, I did, I think Raiden or Sub Zero or something. Like there was a bunch of them on some character sheet. I think I've lost the file somewhere. But yeah, there was a bunch of them. There was, I think Goro also, and but in the end, like I decided to go with a different project. I love I like Buffett because she kind of has a vibe of like one of those old movie divas, you know. Like she looks like that. Like she looks like one of those old black and white movie stars, you know. Weird thing is, like as as my career progressed, I had to literally refuse so many actual dream projects. Like, like if anybody asked me to do them a bit earlier, I'd be like, oh my god, yes. And nowadays, I'm just like, nah, I'm, I'm, I'm busy. I'm busy drawing succubi and giant robots and people having sex and elder gods. Sorry. So fucking weird. Oh wait, what am I doing? Am I? Hey, Tony. I see you there. How long have I been making comics? It's been over 20 years now. Like, I've been making them before I got into the industry, and then I got into the industry about 18 years ago, I think now. And then after this, ever since then, I've been kind of making comics constantly every month on month. Yeah, I always use CS3. Why not newer versions? Because this one works. I really have no need. Like I had the newest one for a year. I paid the subscription and realized, wow, this added nothing to my workflow. This added nothing useful to me. In fact, only thing it added was constant frustrations with them moving shit around. I was just like, you know what? No, I don't need this. You want to begin making comics? Do I have any tips? Tip one: make comics. uh, Making comics is something that if you want to, there's nobody that can stop you. Really, that's all there is to it. Just start making stuff that you like. And I think that's the biggest tip that anybody can give you is you start with what you want to draw. Now beyond that, it comes down to this: whether or not you're going to be a writer artist or just an artist. Depending on that, well, it's gonna fall down to your ability to write and draw, or to get your hands on some good scripts. If you want to practice, there's a bunch of scripts online that you can get from like established comic writers and all of that, where you can get your practice on. If you're actually trying to get into the business of comics, first of all, you got to get good enough. To get good enough, that's just practice. There's no going around it. You got to do anatomy. You got to study composition. One of the big things that I used to do back in the day was I would study movie framing, as in, why and how a scene works well in a movie. Then I would do that. There's also a thing called Bollywood's panels that always work. You can look into that. Those are nice little fill-in ways of doing very simple and effective panel work that carries the story forward. And once you've done enough practice, once you have enough pages drawn, well then, depending on what you want to do, is you can either start applying for work in the industry by maintaining an online presence, maintaining doing all the social media stuff, and just keep posting your work relentlessly. I mean, shamelessly. I mean, you gotta be obnoxious, but it is what it is. If you want to succeed, that's kind of what you have to do. Past that point, it comes down to there was something else where shit. I think it was important. Oh yeah, your other option, which you know nobody really talks about, but will generally make you way more famous way faster if you're good enough, and will get you readers way faster, and will get you recognized way faster. Again, if you're good enough, is webcomics. But webcomics carry themselves their own issues, as in you have to then be extremely productive. You have to be extremely communicative. You have to be you have to take criticism in stride. You can't lash out on people. You gotta understand that your web presence is you on the internet. So that's also a thing that opens up for you. Webcomics are an amazing thing that can, like I said, they can get you both success and financial stability. But again, everything starts off from the number one. Get good at drawing. Get good at telling a story through panels. Yeah, that's exactly it, by Leander. How far have I written for fine print? Outline is complete. As in, when it comes to writing, I have several stages. First one, basic idea. I figure out what the story is about. I figure out the main themes. This is something that a lot of writers sometimes will forget to kind of recognize the themes of their own work, and they kind of grow aware of them as they work. Me, I will always kind of back off from a thing and start understanding what it is about. So once I do that, I figure out what the story is. Okay, then I separate it on main sort of narrative areas. So it's like I have this thing where it's like okay, it's gonna start with I'm gonna have Rachel and Kale and the thing that kind of starts everything. Then I'm gonna have Lauren. You're gonna meet Lauren as a character. You're gonna see that she's messed up enough to the point where she makes a contract with the succubus and an incubus, and you're gonna understand why she's messed up enough to actually insist on having them both around her. And then the story will progress. You're gonna see her enjoying the whole thing for a while until she realizes that holy shit, what she thought was lost forever wasn't. Turns out Matthew didn't marry. Turns out Matthew was really honest with his fiance, and she got super jealous and super pissed off at him, and it started eroding their relationship as a cancer, and they didn't work out. And Matthew never got over her. Still. And all of a sudden, they have a chance of being together, except small problem, she's bound by a magical contract to two gods. And then she doesn't know how to process that because Buffett finds her having lunch with Matthew, and Lauren's behavior right now is putting Buffett's daughter in serious danger. Buffett's daughter being Meryl, the person who gave her the contract. So there's this whole fucking shitstorm brewing that explodes when Lauren adds more bad decisions to it. And then, the story progresses towards the end, towards the reason why it's called fine print and all of that. Like everything starts coalescing and everything then ends in this fucking magnificent way, right? And that's the outline. At that point, I know what happens. And then the next step was regularly for me. It's like, okay, I'm gonna up from this point to this point, it's gonna be volume one. From this point to this point, volume two, and so on. And then once I've decided that, every one of those segments, I start sectioning off. Okay, this is gonna be, first part is gonna be Rachel and Kale. Then it's gonna be young Lauren. Then it's gonna be Lauren trying to get back with Matthew, failing, all of that shit. So it's gonna be like really fucking, so when I'm writing, that's how it goes. It goes from big four. I write the way I paint, right? When you see me doing things, it's blobs, and these blobs are vast concepts, just large ideas of the story. And as I progress, I get to the stage of refining the blobs, as in, segmenting the story. It's the same shit. It's the same process all over the place. Where do I post my comics? Depends on which ones. Some of them are on Webtoon, some of them are on DeviantArt, some of them are on like pretty much all of them are on my Patreon. But on my Patreon are the comics that aren't available anywhere else for now. Those being fine print, that Vigil Volume 2. Later on, Achilles Shield Maidens, the actual story, because right now the prologue will be available everywhere. And so I really am kind of all over the place. Oh yeah, Lauren is a fuck up. Like Lauren is a glorious fuck up. She's probably one of the most interesting protagonists that I've ever written, and I don't mean good protagonist as in a good person. No, interesting. She's massively flawed, but she learns. She through the story, she realizes her errors. She tries to fix them, but unfortunately, sometimes the realization about those errors is too late. I mean, the story begins with Lauren dying, so spoiler, she didn't make it. But it's gonna be really fucking good though. Oh yeah, for me, it's crucial that if I don't feel like the story has a reason to exist, I am not fucking dealing with it. Like, I will not touch it. This one has a really fucking strong reason to exist because I know where it's going. I know how it's gonna deliver it, and I know the response is gonna elicit at the end from my readers who get invested. Now, there is a chance for this story never to be finished, of course. It's like with any other story. If it doesn't make it in print, like if it's just it's not like there's no point. Obviously it didn't reach the audience. But again, because of my Patreon, there's always a chance for me to pick it up at a later point and carry on. Now, let's say I publish it. The first volume is gonna come in October, and it's an immediate success. Fucking like this. This is the one that, because right now I have one big success. That is Sunstone. That thing is massive. But I need a second one to kind of seal the deal so that uh, I can take on later some vanity projects that I always wanted to do but never could afford doing because they're financial black holes. Predominantly that vanity project being Ravine. I always kind of wanted to fix Volume One, by fix I mean improve the storytelling, add some more pages, add more character work and not lore. I would actually cut out some of the lore because there's better ways of delivering it later in the story. It felt just front loaded with lore to the point where it was a bad read. And anybody who's read Ravine has noticed that the sharp fucking quality rise from Volume 1 to Volume 2. Because Volume 1 looks good, but reads like shit. Like you have to fucking want to read it. Like you have to be a D&D nerd to go through Volume 1 and go, "Oh my god, this was amazing." Like you have to be that kind of detail-minded person. But most people want a naturally flowing story, and that's where I failed as a writer with Volume 1. But in Volume 2, you start reading Volume 2, and all of a sudden, like, everything is fucking picking up the pace, and stories happening, and shit's rolling, and you're just like, holy crap, like, this is good. But at that point, the sales have dropped to catastrophic low levels, and the series died. Fine print is on my Patreon. My Patreon is basically set up so that whenever you sign up, you can access all the previous stuff. So basically, if you're on the Patreon, you just basically check under fine print tag, and it's gonna be the most recent one. Is gonna have everything that's been stockpiled so far, and it's gonna be over 100 pages. There's gonna be about 15 more pages this month. Yeah, I keep my Patreon stacked. Like people pay for content, and I deliver content. Yeah, I had to learn to be pragmatic because it's very easy for a creator to get carried away with, love for a project. But I started in life from literally nowhere. My family was beyond dirt poor. Like we had nothing. So I was like, I'm a mix of a high-minded idealist of, wanting to do good things and wanting to make wonderful stories, and but I'm also practical because I know what it's like to not be able to pay the bills. So I kind of have to have a very harsh approach to these things. And also I have to now, like, I make great money now. But the thing is, I make great money now. As in, that may change. My health is not getting any better. My eyesight has been deteriorating. I have so many fucking problems already that, like, and I have about 10 to 15 years ahead of me of doing this job if I'm lucky. Anything beyond that is a luxury. It's, it's the gift from the heavens. But that's all I have. And yet, if shit fails on me, like that's all I will ever have. So I'm not just working for today. I'm not just working for this month. I am working for uh, the times when I can't work anymore. So it's like I have to be very kind of clear-headed when it comes to when it comes to creative work. Like I don't really have a choice. Yep, can't eat passion. Yeah, this is Dolphin. When we started working on that comic, like they're like, we should have her in, and like I had no fucking idea who the character was, but they got me like old references. And I'm like, wow, this is boring. So she's just like she's she's a white haired chick in like jeans and a t-shirt. That's it, and she swims in that. And I'm like, no, we're dealing with magic here. I'm making her a mutant. Here's a design, and they're like, oh, we can use this. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sure you can. It was fun. Do I have the endings of all of my series planned? Yes, yes. An ending, as a nice, clear vision of an ending, it's like a cherry on the top of the cake for me. It's that goal that I'm striving for. That feeling started back in the day when I first figured out the ending to Santa Volume 5. And then when I figured out that one, I was actually sad because I was like, I was just starting Volume 2, and I was like, who the fuck am I kidding? I'm never gonna finish this thing. Like this is a nothing. This is a joke thing that I do just for the fun to stay away the fucking existential dread of me working on things that I don't want to work on anymore. It's just like dealing with a goddamn endless burnout. And then I was fucking wrong about that. But ever since then, like it's always been kind of my big thing is like I conceive the story and all of that, but then I have to have that strong fucking ending. Like for every one of them, like the ending actually has to hit hard. It has to hit on an emotional level, either as glorious or happy or unsettling, depending on which story I'm making. But that ending has to fucking leave an impact. Like that ending has to leave my reader going reeling from it afterwards, just going like, "Holy shit, that was good." Like that's what I strive for. And in order to do that, the best way to do it is you figure it out ahead. You plan it out, and if it's something that excites you enough that you just can't wait to get to it, that you actually want to work your ass off so that you actually reach it, because you're like, oh my god, the moment they see that, they will feel what I'm feeling right now. It's just like, oh man, that feeling. You know what, Drakius? You're right. You're actually right, and I'm not a succubus. So I get no nourishment from that. But you're right. Damn it. Hmm. 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 Oh, if I was a succubus, I would I would grow to quote Callus the Emperor. I would grow fat from strength. So far, I've only grown fat from pizza. So you know what? No, I'm not a succubus. But the thing is, so with fine print title, like I was an idiot to name the story Fine Print without even thinking. It's such a fucking obvious, simple title that probably somebody used it, and turns out a bunch of them did. There's like comics and web comics, and there's like books, and I'm like, fuck. At this point, it's too late to change it because everybody is referring it as Fine Print. So I'm like, how do I solve this problem? And then I realized my problem is my solution. I just added subtitle into fine print, and I'm just like, I am an absolute fucking genius. My Q is 7,000. Also, it's IQ, so I may not be that big of a genius. Okay, Mads, I would like you not to reveal secret informations about me. Thanks. Okay? Jesus, call me out like that, why don't you? Oh, every event with me is a random one. If I was a YouTube edgelord, I would just kind of just immediately fucking plug into like a clip of Joker, like I am an agent of chaos. But I'm not. I'm just very very unorganized. So know. Yeah, I'm more of a QI myself as well. What class do I main in D2? None. I main all of them. Like I'm one of those people who has all the classes maxed out and then just kind of plays. I play whatever feels best for the modifiers of the day. You know what I mean? Like let's say it's like melee modifiers for strikes and shit. I'm just gonna fucking pop my Titan or my Solar Hunter and just start throwing swords, throwing those freaking glaives everywhere from the Blade Barrage Super and just basically stick to that. Like I'm practical when it comes to my gaming. Yeah, I have other worlds planned. I just don't have the one I live in planned. It's a goddamn fucking mess around me right now, okay? My characters know how to take care of themselves. I wish I could say the same. Oh man, I remember that. Oh my god, that movie would have been so perfect if they just didn't do that 3D shit. Like so close to absolute perfection. That Sinbad movie was just so good. Oh my god! And then every time I see that fucking 90s level CG in a cartoon, I'm just like, oh you fuckers! And Eris was so fucking good in that movie. Like that freaking hair of hers. Oh my god! Amazing. It's the same thing with that. There was another cartoon that I used to really like, but it had terrible CG mixed in it, and it was Titan A. I used to really like what's called downloads stuff, and like I really loved all the design work in that thing, and then the CG came, and it's just like, ooh. I already have all the soundtracks. Had them from back in the day when the game was still uh, you know new. Yeah, they mixed it in Treasure Planet too, but there it was a bit better already. Like that, there they've started getting better at it. It still was obvious, but it wasn't painful. Yeah, pretty much that. Hell, like recently, there's been studios that actually did animes in 3D that I actually fucking fully enjoyed. I've watched Beastars last year. I think it was last year when it came out. And like that studio has done another 3D anime beforehand, and they actually kind of cracked the formula. Like they actually figured it out how to make it look good and not obnoxious. And like they just keep improving. So I'm like, okay, there's studios out there that are actually figuring it out properly. So give it a few more years, and I think 3D in animation is gonna really, like, 3D in a way of 2D animation is really gonna take off. Mm. 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 What's she holding? A golden apple, which is basically one of the big things in this story is gods need ambrosia to survive, and ambrosia is sort of like this magical god food that basically takes shape into whatever they want. But when they're dealing with mortals, the seed of ambrosia that they have to eat generally takes shape of a golden apple, which doesn't do much for their explanation that they do to humans that they are not in fact demons. It's like, oh yeah, yeah, no, of course you're not. Last time somebody offered people a magical apple, it didn't go that well, So I'm just saying. But yeah, it's like the apple from the Hesperides garden. An apple that's given to only those who are worthy of it. So naturally, humans are like, so you're trying to get my soul? And they're like, no, we don't. Yeah, this is basically the start of my uh day. Well, I mean, the one that gave Eve the apple. Well, Eve. Well, it's the one that started the whole thing was the one who figured out the process of harvesting ambrosia for humans. His name is Lucifer Morningstar in this thing. So, but the thing is, like, he's not a devil. It's false propaganda from their rivals, Cupid's gods of love. At some point, when Christianity became big, they realized that they could badmouth the gods of desire by just telling humanity is like, oh, they're demons, and that's when the rivalry just got savage. In fact, Kale, the one of the main characters in the story, his name is Kale Morningstar, and he is Lucifer's son. And he's kind of trapped on Earth because of a bad contract that was made by Buffett's daughter, Meryl. And it's kind of all the shit in this thing always starts with Meryl. Yeah, it's gonna be so much fun because Lucifer was one of the first generation QB that were born after Eros has basically given up on life, basically relinquished his energies and decided to do to die effectively. It's called the sinking into the calm or rooting in their world because that's kind of what it looks like. But he died because he was like his job is done. The energies of love and desire can now exist without him. They've been organized well enough so that the presence of him as a god was no longer needed. But the thing is, energies of love and desire are so fucking powerful and chaotic that the moment he died, those energies gained sentience and fucking formed into lesser gods of love and desire, cupids and succubi and incubi. And ever since then, you know, like they've existed for a while at peace, but then they realized that there was not enough ambrosia to feed them all. They had to figure out a way to harvest ambrosia to gain ambrosia to sustain their immortality. So Lucifer, with the help of a few other gods, had figured out a method to do it, and he tested it out with this woman. And you know, they realized, hey, it works. So you know, from there on, they kept on doing it, and Cupids decided to kind of copy the process, and they started doing their own contracts and with mortals, and they started harvesting ambrosia from that. Like they started gaining empowered seeds that they could plant, and they would grow ambrosia trees of their own. But after a while, they would very often find themselves clashing because they're like, this person has a lot of lust, but this person has a lot of love. Turns out it's the same person, and they both want it. And then, then problems started, and then the rivalry fucking kicked in, and then things got dumb. Mhm. One morning they woke up and chose Thursday. Yes, I love it. Oh no! Last, lasting consequences. Stop! No, no, no! I would. Why not team up? Well, that would make sense, wouldn't it? But the problem is egos. And there was another problem also, like all joking aside, like there's a whole thing with the ambrosia can be only harvested if it's been refined by a human. um, Back in the days of gods, it was humans' belief and prayers and sacrifices that empowered ambrosia, which then, oh, son of a bitch, it did actually. Um, I really do hope that the stream didn't crash. But anyways, back in the old days, ambrosia was empowered through the prayers and belief and sacrifices of humans. That energy was then used by Demeter, who was a goddess of maturing things, and she would basically mature ambrosia into a powerful food for the gods that maintained their immortality. Without that, now people don't really believe in those gods, they don't pray to them, so they have to opt for a personal touch, a personal one-to-one kind of an exchange, where a human who has the potential to refine ambrosia is given a contract, and through that contract they will basically empower ambrosia, while a god of desire or a god of love will fulfill their side of the bargain. For a god of love, they will uh, help them find their true love and all that, but they will also kind of remove their desire to have sex. But while with the gods of desire, they will empower one's ability to feel orgasms and all that, make them more sexually appealing to anybody, they will also, partake in training sessions. And then in the end, they're gonna basically effectively remove the desire to feel love, because ambrosia can only be refined through one energy. And this is where the problem is. It's like literally, if one of them makes ambrosia, that person, that human, no longer can feel the energy of the other. And so this rivalry is fundamental on a very essential level. Fine print training arc, yes. You think that's bad? Wait for the tournament arc. Finishing move. No, not fatality. Fucktality. And people wonder why I'm not monetized. I'm not really sold on this. Like, on one level, I love doing like full characters shots and all that, but on the other, just kind of, I don't know, they just kind of feel vapid, like pointless. Like, you know, right now I'm just like this would make for a nice print or a poster, right? But I'm a storyteller, so my brain just rebels against the very concept of it. It's just like, the fuck is she doing right now? It's just like, hi, behold my apple. Tis a lovely apple. Would you like to purchase some apples? Is what I'm saying. Trying to sell some apples over here. It's just, I don't know. Thank God that's why these things are nothing but kind of a workout for me and warm up. What am I trying to make? No fucking idea. Like that's kind of the point of these things. Like I have no fucking idea what I'm trying to make. The only thing I do know is like nowadays I'm just making it with my own characters, just so that that they already exist. That way I can avoid the sudden bursts of inspiration from me drawing random things. Oh shit, you hungry for apples? That's brilliant. My man. Really, my voice? Oh my fucking god. Of all the things. Then again, I've never like it's kind of I think for me it's a lot of it is kind of that you hear yourself on tape for the first time, kind of a syndrome, and just like it always feels weird. Like I hear myself differently because well everybody does, and then you hear yourself record and you're just like ew. I mean, yeah, technically the apple kind of ends up killing Lawrence, so there's that, but just beyond that. It's like, oh, spoilers, me. I just opened the book with that, for fuck's sakes. This is such a pointless fucking. What? Come on, you're better than this, Barney. Fucking hell. Like, this is just like. It's okay, is what I'm saying, and that's my problem. It's like, I don't want it to just be okay. I want showstoppers, damn it. And this ain't stopping anything. This is just stopping maybe a random person who wants to buy some apples. How could I turn this boring piece of shit into something worthwhile? Like, I know that technically, I could just fucking go and expand this shit. And then, just kind of uh, do this thing where I could just kind of add more characters. And then I could just kind of reposition her so that she's actually lying on one of those sheets that I have everywhere, and it's just gonna be like this kind of a weird kind of an orgy thing happening, or like a post orgy. Everybody's in a state of bliss, but she's just like, oh yes, you might join me if you take the apple or something like that. I know I could technically do that very easily. Here's the problem though. That means I would have to work on this for much longer, and then I'm just like, I don't wanna, but I low-key wanna. Like, it could be like really fucking easy, just and of course everybody would be entwined with her tails because she's got a bunch of them. She's goddamn, she's a goddamn fucking QB over here. So I could just, do one of these, like raise her leg up here or something like that. I can just do the thing with the stuff, and like, then she would look like she just fucked the whole squad here, and just kind of like, is like. And now, in the afterglow, I think we can turn to some business. I mean, I could technically, just like hypothetically. Yeah, I could make a tree behind her with hanging apples, but that would be lazy. My mom didn't raise me to be lazy. It's not gonna be a scene in the story. Buffett never personally goes and gives Lauren the apple. That's, you know. Actually, technically, she could. No, no, no. Actually, it is Meryl who gives the thing so that she can actually open the portal and summon. So yeah, it has to be Meryl. Also, I would have to choose carefully who to put around her because it's not like I can fucking put. I'm not gonna put what's it called Lilia and Thaddeus, because I'm still kind of going with the whole shtick where they kind of have their OTPs already settled. Now, technically, I could just have, you know, uh, Sharon with her because she is her wife. But it's like that's just one character. I need a bunch of them, and it's just like, I mean, they do live that lifestyle at that point, so it's kind of figuring out who the fuck to put here. How Buffett would react to tentacle monster hentai? Who do you think inspired it all? Just imagine Buffett somewhere like back in the day in Japan is like making a contract, and it's some artist, and they're like, I have an idea. Why not make caveman behind her and they go ooga booga? What? Just sometimes I look up at the chat and I'm just like, what happened? Put Batman. You know, cavemen now sound actually smart. Batman. Jeez. Batman's out here is like, with prep time, I can I can make her orgasm. Jesus Christ. Confused caveman noises. Yeah. I mean, I could actually just kind of make a big old pile of just the high-ranking QB. That would work, and just like I'm like, these are the ruling cast after a busy night. Does Batman have a fat vibrator? What kind of a question is? Of course he does. The bat plug, yes. Yeah, you know, you've seen the bat plug. I've shown the bat plug. He, he, let me see. Where the fuck is that? Folder. Fine print. Wow, it would be so nice if I actually named my files so I could actually go in just under C for Sharon, but no, no, not me. No, it's probably something like Astafakilya. Sort by. Where the fuck did I put the design? Yeah, but if she's lying down, that means the gravity of her hair situation will have to be changed. Easy enough. And then I can do the thing where I kind of do hair all over the place because now I can. The backlight won't work though, so that's gonna have to go. Oh, hey. Hi. Hey, don't worry about that. That's easy to fix. None of it. Everything's just very kind of flat done or still. So. How does that work? Them turning into hair? Simple. She's a goddess. It's just it's a thing that she can do. But you piss her off sufficiently, and out come the snakes again. Except now they're even worse. Oh boy, now this is gonna be an interesting one because let's first do it like this. Okay. A wizard did it. All right, let's. I don't know why, but like doing these just kind of really elaborate paintings and shit like that really kind of both warms me up and relaxes me to a certain phase, and then after that I just get bored. That's why I have a whole lot of fucking unfinished paintings, but I can safely say that the ones that are relevant to my actual fucking stories, those are gonna get done. Yep, Sharon is pretty much the only one who can bring her back. Because she spent so much time with Buffett in general that she knows when Buffett has her little tantrums. Because Buffett never really like she became a succubus. She changed her divine essence because she wasn't ready to die, and basically her best friend from the underworld was gonna do the same. And then over time, with Sharon being the only person she could rely on, the only person kind of helping her to adapt to this new life, you know, they agreed that you know they worked well together. because they couldn't say "I love you" to each other because it's forbidden when you're a succubus. And the saddest thing is, like, they couldn't even say that to their children. And part of that is really the part of the main problem of the story. And that's gonna have a really good and fun resolution by the end. How do you put rings in horns? Yeah, drill. I mean, duh. You go to a regular human store, you buy yourself a nice Black and Decker, and just kind of have that shit on standby. You just sometimes you want to pierce those horns and done. Yeah, in their world, every love is forbidden love. I love it how you say that the antlers have nerves when we're talking about those antlers being attached to gods. Like they don't even have regular blood. Like just it's like, if anything makes sense to you in general, trust me, it's probably not how it works in the world of gods. Oh yeah, Buffett does pop actually two crowns by the end of the story. The first one is the Fury crown, where she basically, you know, like every single form, kinda, every single one of these energies kinda comes with a sort of a visual depiction of it. And the first one that will happen is the Fury crown, and then the second one is gonna make people go fucking duh. What it means to pop a crown? It means that you're experiencing strong enough emotion that it affects the way you look in the world of gods. And it's not a good thing among them. For instance, when a succubus and a cupid meet up together to get high of their respective energies, uh, the side effects of that are besides the feeling the absolute bliss of devotion through intimacy, uh, is the fact that they pop a very specific looking crown. So cupids will grow horns that will mix with their sort of halos, and Cubi will grow sort of halos, the golden halos that will mix with their horn. And the look is very specific. Sure, I could make Sharon hold a strand of her hair, but instead I'm gonna just have her kind of be touching her arm. Because, I just held it like that so that I could, do an easier job of, actually drawing. Yeah, that's the beauty of working in Photoshop. In the newer ones, I could just turn the canvas around, but I'm just like, eh. There was something I didn't like about that, as I remember. Like there was a thing where it's like it would turn the canvas, but it also like turned like every tool that you were working with in a weird way. Like it's something like selections and stuff. Like it just annoyed me. There we go. I carefully named this file. Oh my god, fucking this music. Ugh. It's like my brain has a fucking lag. I don't know, never heard of him or the books. What's that? What are the books about? I'm kind of tired of this kind of Game of Thrones kind of stuff. Like the last fantasy book that I actually read and enjoyed was Guy Gabriel Kay's Tigana. But past that point, I just kind of every single book I tried reading was something I gave up on. Oh, okay, I am reading the what's it called? Rothfuss's books right now, so there's that. Like those are fun. But beyond that, like kind of like I don't know. The, I've kind of stopped reading a lot of fantasy. What's with all the techno music? It's free to use on YouTube. Otherwise, the YouTube would just fucking snap this, would Thanos away the stream. So yeah, not my first choice of music, but you play the cards that you get, and I got a techno hand. Well, Letters to the Vampire Queen is, it's my own story, so of course I'm reading that one. That's mostly because, I have to do rewrites and shit on it, so how else am I gonna do it without reading it? What would I rather listen to? Anything? Oh, not anything. There's still a few things that I would enjoy less, but again, play the cards you got. I'm gonna watch the Sandman. I've never read the stories at all, so uh, I'm actually curious about them, what people see in it, because the only times I've actually seen it here in Croatia, that was a long time ago when the books were in some antique store, and I saw them, and like the artwork didn't gel with me back then. You know, my tastes were much simpler, so yeah, make of that what you will, you know. So you know, I'm actually curious to see why people like it that much. Oh yeah, they only do glow red when she's angry. But that's her secret, Captain. She's always angry. Her anger is constantly boiling under the surface because she uses her anger to mask something else. Like that's literally her method of hiding something that she desperately doesn't want to show. Actually, I could just kind of have the familiar characters here, because Lord knows by the end of the story, they all get involved, not in a sexual way, but intense way. All right, let's see how long was this going. Oh wow, 2 hours. Yeah, I think I'm gonna stop this for now. I might pick up on it at a later point and just make, you know, Lelia, Thaddeus, maybe Vane, maybe hell, maybe even Lauren. We'll see. Because this will be like more of a symbolical thing, and I'm gonna have all of them kind of entwined in her tales, and somebody will inevitably make the I know I've seen enough hentai to know where this is going joke, and I'm gonna politely laugh while thinking to myself, you absolute uneducated pleb. You know, the usual. So, anyways, thank you for being here. I'm gonna go now and draw some giant robots punching other giant robots. It's gonna be amazing. Oh my god. See you, everybody.